With most global travel restricted, more than 100 million Americans now under mandatory stay-at-home orders, it is no surprise that the airlines are suffering. According to the flight tracking website FlightAware, more than 8,000 flights within, into, or out of the United States have been canceled today. American, Delta, and United have canceled more than 1,000 each. Now U.S. airlines are pushing for government assistance. The more than $50 billion request would be the industry's largest bailout ever, and its first since 9/11. Joining me now, Sara Nelson, president of the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA. It's a labor union representing nearly 50,000 flight attendants in the United States. Sara, thank you for joining us. You have made a point that I think a lot of Americans have been thinking about, having remembered 2008, 2009 in the rearview mirror. In a letter that you sent to the senators the other day, you asked for aid to airlines to be designated to cover payroll for aviation workers, including pilots, screeners, flight attendants, baggage handlers, ramp cabin cleaners, airport workers, catering workers, and otherwise. You wanted it to be tied to that. Are you seeing what you wanted coming through in this deal that's about to be made?
So we propose that this package be built from the ground up, exactly as you're describing, and that the aid actually be directed to the people on the front lines. And that is our understanding, is that this is being constructed so that that direct government aid, they're telling the airlines exactly how they have to use that, and it is to pay the paychecks of the people on the front lines and keep them on the jobs and not change our contracts. So that is what we think is being shaped up right now, and we're fairly optimistic about it, although we're still telling all of our members and everyone to keep calling, because this needs to be about worker relief, not about executive bonuses and stock buybacks and dividends and how they can enrich themselves.
And in fact, in the last, since 9/11, there has been progress between airlines and their workers on some of those fronts. But the fact is, that's the fear most Americans have, right? That, look, maybe the airlines is really an industry that does need saving. First of all, because it's essential, it's critical to what we do, and it employs a lot of people who end up being taxpayers, and we don't want them all being out of work. But if Americans get taxpayer money, there should be some strings attached to it.
That's absolutely right. And this is not going to be a bailout like the past. And we do need the airline industry. Let's be clear. That's not a bunch of executives. That's actually the network that delivers our mail to us, that gets us to see each other, that gets critical resources to address this virus right now and help our healthcare professionals. So we need a functioning airline industry in order to attack the virus right now, get people the needs that they need to have during this national emergency, and then also perform the backbone of our economy on the other side of this. And Ali, a lot of people don't think about this, but flight attendants pay 1.5 times the amount that American Airlines pay in taxes. And then we spend the rest of that into the gross national product. And that is $4.2 billion that we inject into this economy. So if we are getting our paychecks, we can continue to contribute. That's just flight attendants. This is how we need to be approaching this, from the ground up in this relief package.
One of the points you've made, and one of the points we've made, is that buybacks. We have to be careful about companies using any money that they get from American taxpayers, whether it's loans or otherwise, for stock buybacks. The priority has to be American workers. Sara, thank you. As always, Sara Nelson is the president of the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA.